3D hibiscus flower and some tropical leaves nail art tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. Hi everyone! In today's video I'm going to be showing you, it's a little bit 3D, but you could definitely do this, that it wasn't 3D at all and just paint everything. It's the design that is currently on my nails. It is very tropical feeling. There are palm fronds on here, there's a little bit of an Aztec or a tribal type pattern, and then a little 3D hibiscus flower. I love things that are tribal and tropical themed, and I recently was just gifted a palm tree that is, I don't know, I absolutely love palm trees. I think I may have mentioned that in the past, that palm trees are, I don't know, my favorite kind of plant. So I was really excited about getting this palm tree, and I immediately proceeded to paint palm fronds on my nails. So I hope you guys all like this, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well. Begin by painting all of your nails with one coat of white polish. So then to create the gradient, I'm going to start with a really pastel orange and then go on to a medium pink and then go on to like a darkish sort of purple fuchsia color and then sponge that onto my nails, and I did that across all 5 of them. I'm going to be adding a second coat and then just clean around them however you like, whatever your preference is. Oh, actually, before I clean around them, I'm going to apply a layer of just a shimmery color just to kind of blend them out. It's a little bit glittery just to help smooth the gradient. So then clean around them, and then I'm going to proceed to start adding my fronds. So on my middle and my pinky nails, I did 1 frond, on my thumb I did 2, but to paint them I started out with black and I just sort of created their shadow. So I added first that middle stem, and then I'm going to go through and add all of the leaves. When you're painting the leaves, you're going to want to start out with the side that is shorter. So they're on that little bit of a curve, so there's going to be a longer side and a shorter side of the line. Start with the shorter side, because if you start with the longer side, once you go on to the shorter side, you're going to have to really squeeze them in, because you're going to have, it's going to be much tighter and it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So I don't know if that all makes sense to you. I hope it does. So you're going to want to start, like I said, on the shorter side of the frond and fit them in together a little bit tighter, but then go on to the other side. You're going to have so much space. It'll be so much easier. So it's just better to do it that way. So then with a medium green paint, I'm going to be filling in my frond, leaving a little bit of a black outline as much as I can. So I don't want to completely cover up all that black paint that I just added, but I do want to cover up the majority of it. You want just a touch of that black to show, to really kind of deepen it, add a little bit of a shadow, a little bit of an outline. So just cover that up with some of that green paint, and then using a really bright green, a really neon green, I'm just going to take and highlight the leaves just a touch. So just kind of like the very tip of each leaf. I'm just going to add just a little bit of that brighter green color just to, you know, add a little bit more dimension. I want this to have a lot of shading in it, a lot of highlights and lowlights and all of that. So then on my index nail, I'm going to go through and I'm going to be painting just sort of a geometric tribal type pattern, you know, kind of go along with that tropical feeling. So I started out by just creating a triangle right at my cuticle, and then I'm going to be thickening up the lines. So basically I'm going to be leaving a little triangle on the inside of this bigger triangle that's black. So I'm just going to cover up most of it just like that, make sure that that looks nice and even from side to side. All the lines are about the same thickness, and then leaving a little bit of a gap, I'm going to add another line coming down from that, going on either side just like so. And then off of those, I'm going to be adding all kinds of triangles, starting with one right at the tip, just like that, basically extending those other 2 lines and then creating a line going across to create the triangle. And then adding 3 triangles off that line on the sides, just like so. Now, when you're painting these patterns, I never really have a plan when I start with. I just start adding lines and then figure out how I want to do it and keep adding things until I'm like, oh, you know, that looks good, that's enough, I'm happy with that, and then I leave it. So this one was a little bit on the simpler side, a little bit, it's not too detailed, it's pretty basic. So then I'm just going to go through and create a little, almost like a stepping stone sort of pattern, just another little line going down, adding one final outline around the design. I didn't want to fill in the entire nail. I wanted to leave some of that gradient exposed because I really loved it. I was not so sure what I was going to think of this gradient when I was picking out the colors, and I don't know why I even decided to do it. I was just looking at my nail polish, I'm like, oh, I've never used this light peachy color, I'm going to grab that. But then I'm looking at them and I grabbed these other ones and I just wasn't sure, but I loved it when it was done, so I didn't want to completely cover it up either. So now I'm going to be applying a layer of gel top coat. Now prior to this I have been using regular polish, so the gradient was done with regular polish, but it had dried overnight, so applying that gel top coat is going to be just fine, and it's going to make your acrylic last a lot better. That being said, or stick a lot better, and it's not going to mess up the polish underneath, and also remove pretty easy with a file on top of the gel sealer or the gel top coat. But if you don't have gel or you don't want to use gel, you can just go ahead and apply regular top coat and it'll be fine, or you can do the whole thing with gel, the gradient with gel, everything. So I was using a mixture of both, which I know is a little bit strange. You can do it however you like. So then to create my flower, I am going to be using 2-tone beads of white into a really neon melony type color. So I'm going to first start out with that dipping my bead or dipping my brush into white and grabbing a white bead and then dipping it into the orange or the peachy color, coral. I don't know what color to call it. It's really bright. And then I'm going to be applying that so that the orange peachy coral color is towards the center of the flower with the white on the edges of the petals. And I know that I only was able to fit 2 full-size beads on, or 2 full-size petals on my flower because of where I placed it. I wanted it at the top of my nail and the stamen coming down. So then the other petals that you're adding, you're just going to add partial petals, and basically when it gets right in the corner, I just grabbed some of that peachy orangey color and I just filled it in because there wasn't much space. I did add a little bit of white there, and then, just kind of make it work, I guess you could say. Figure it out. It's fine. No one's really going to be looking in that corner and the rhinestones covering it up, but you do need to make sure that you do fill in the flower entirely. And then with yellow acrylic, you're going to be adding your stamen. So first I just place the bead down below where the stamen's going to come down, and then I'm going to pull it out with my brush and just shape that into what I've got going, just like that. And I know that that's not quite enough acrylic, and I did add some more and thicken that up because that's really, really thin, but I'm going to also continue it up into the center of the flower, so you want the stamen to go all the way up to the very center of the flower. When you have that up in the center, go ahead and add your rhinestone. The rhinestone that I'm using has a pointy bottom, so I really need to make sure that I have enough acrylic in there that the rhinestone is going to fit all the way down into the acrylic and that the acrylic is going to hold it. So now, like I said, I am adding a little bit more acrylic to my stamen because it was a little bit too thin for me. Just even it out, make sure it looks nice and symmetrical from side to side and a nice even top on it, and then add a little bit more of that acrylic just to the very tip of it because I've got all that pollen on the end. So then with acrylic paint, I'm going back to paint now, I'm going to be highlighting the stamen first with yellow just to brighten that up and really make that nice and visible, and then using some white paint that I have diluted ever so slightly, I'm going to be adding all of the texture and the highlights on the edge of the petals, just with a whole bunch of lines, kind of brushing them towards the center of the flower. Just add that little highlight on there with bright white paint. That's really going to make everything really easy to see and really vivid, just like that. And then I'm going to take a little bit of diluted white, as you can see I was just diluting it on my hand, and I'm going to highlight the stamen a little bit more because I want it a little bit brighter than my yellow paint was. And then apply a layer of matte top coat over the 3D art. Be careful you don't get that matte top coat on top of your rhinestone because it won't look nearly as sparkly. And that is all done. I know that this design you can see in some of my other tutorials and people have been asking me for it, so I hope you guys all saw it. Please share any of your creations with me on Facebook and Instagram. I would love to see them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!